Hello, this is John Burns. Housing is a cyclical business. Builders and homeowners make far more money during the good times than they lose during the bad times, but that doesn't make the bad times any better. Over the next few years, record numbers of home builders, land developers, and homeowners will file for bankruptcy or lose their assets to the bank. Those who took less risk by keeping their debt levels low will be fine. Those who did not will learn their lesson and be more careful next time. The following cartoon was put together by our team as an educational piece on housing. We hope you enjoy it.
Why won't anyone buy me?
Well, housing is a cyclical business, and we're in another period of market correction. We'll get through it, just give it time. Since I was built in 1970, I've seen 4 of these cycles. In the early 1970s, mortgage rates rose from 7.5% to 10%, and the unemployment rate shot up to 9%. Times were tough, much tougher than today, and we recovered. The early 1980s were even tougher. Oil prices rose to $39.50 per barrel, which is the equivalent of $99 per barrel in today's dollars. Inflation exceeded 11%. Mortgage rates exceeded 17%, and the unemployment rate reached an incredible 10.8%. A few years later, everything was back to normal. The 1987 to 91 downturn was long and painful, and was primarily caused by policies created in Washington, D.C. The downturn started with a change in the tax code that wiped out real estate investment tax benefits. And then there was an oil crisis that caused job losses in many areas. As if that weren't enough, government officials then decided to wipe out the savings and loan industry by implementing severe lending restrictions overnight, and then caused major job losses by cutting defense spending. Mortgage rates fell, but too late to help. Various regions of the country got hit harder and at different times. We recovered nicely a few years later. I sure hope Congress learned their lesson.
So what happened this time?
This downturn is different. Some aspects are the same, but some are different. To completely understand the dynamics of the housing market, there are 3 basic factors we need to consider: demand, supply, and investment. Let's look at each. First, let's look at the demand for housing. How many people need homes? Housing demand is driven by adult population growth, and job growth is the best way to estimate that growth because we can measure job growth. The demand for housing today is very high, and unemployment is very low, less than 5%.
Awesome! That means someone will buy me soon.
Hold on there, little fella. Let's look at the second factor, supply. In 2005, builders built more detached homes than ever before. They overestimated how many homes were needed. Look at all the homes buyers can choose from.
Why did we build too much?
Well, due to the collapse of the stock market and the technology bubble, the U.S. economy was heading into a recession in 2001. The Fed decided to make the recession very mild by proactively dropping interest rates, which in turn reduced mortgage rates. In a sense, the Fed used the housing market as a tool to prop up the economy. We should have had a minor housing correction in 2002, but thanks to the Fed, we did not.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
That's what I thought, but the Fed let house prices grow out of control before they started raising rates again. In places like San Diego, home prices rose more than 200% from 2001 to 2005. Speculative investors started bidding up home prices, and builders and investors made a fortune selling far more than they thought they would. Rates started rising again in 2004, but they just didn't increase fast enough. Then lenders made loans to people who had no money, no income, and poor credit, and prices rose even further. These home buyers took a gamble, and it isn't going to pay off. They're just a small percentage of total households, though. There will be problems, but most people will be fine. It looked like the aggressive lending would continue forever, so the demand for housing looked like it would go on forever. Now we have too many empty homes.
Yeah, I noticed. So when will somebody buy me?
Soon. Over the last few years, people buying a home for the first time were able to do so earlier than they thought, and those who already owned were able to move up to a bigger and better home even more quickly. Essentially, we borrowed buyers from the future. We just need to let the economy continue growing, and I'm sure someone will buy you soon.
Well, what can I do to speed this up?
That brings us to our third factor, investment. You can have a ton of demand, but people need to be able to afford the house. Although mortgage rates are very low in comparison to history, they've risen quite a bit since 2004, and the monthly payments are much more expensive than a few years ago. High prices and mortgage rates that have risen are a recipe for a soft market. On top of that, people are nervous. Newspaper accounts and cocktail talk make it seem like housing is a bad investment. A few years ago, the exact opposite was true. Today, people are nervous about investing in housing. I've seen this several times before.
When will all this be over? And when will someone buy me?
It isn't all that bad. Prices will fall, but almost everything else you would want is in place. Fortunately for you, you're owned by a home builder who has priced you very attractively. You are much less expensive than 1 year ago, and I'm sure someone will buy you soon. You're a much better value than the resale market, and you were built with the latest construction techniques and consumer needs in mind. Don't worry, someone will figure this out soon. People will always need a place to live. See? I told you so.
This is John again. If you work as hard as you possibly can through this cycle, you will be most prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that will present themselves once the market improves. Do your 6 P's of research. Target the right people. Design the right product. Adjust the price to create a great value. Position yourself away from the competition. Spend your promotion dollars wisely. Hire the right person to do sales. Remember, every down cycle is the beginning of the next up cycle.